I wanted, if you weren't subbed, I'd give you a sub because of how good you are. But anyway, formal introductions, guys. Let me go ahead and throw in caster mode now. Spawning in the north, playing as the color blue and playing as the English. It is Divine of the DFP variety, and now playing as Chinese on the southeastern side of the map. It is Numudan now. I think as far as civilizations go, these are probably my two least favorite if I had to pick.
Of course they are. They don't have feudal knights.
Yeah, you don't have feudal knights, I don't give a damn, you know? But Divine going for that usual English build. Now, I have seen a decent amount of Divine games when he plays English. He does play a multitude of different civs, but as English, we usually see a decent amount of town centers come out of Divine, and we were talking about off camera actually before the 2TC meta from English, or that quick second town center, I should say, is pretty much meta and the only meta nowadays. Neri, was that kind of correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not going to be honest. I was talking with Wham, so I blame Wham, so I wasn't quite mentioned. But yes, absolutely, that is the meta.
Yeah, yeah. I kind of knew that. See, this is what I do by softballs. You know, I give you a nice softball question. I know the answer, but I'm gonna go ahead and lift it up a little bit for you, make it be like, oh, this Neri guy, he's smart as shit. He knows everything. Now, China, on the other side, probably my least favorite. Dupe says, what is the meta of English? Usually a fast second town center. We'll see Divine do that as we go into feudal age. But I want to talk about China here on the other side. As far as meta goes for China against English, are they going to try to out-boom and do a 2TC song by themselves?
I'm not quite sure. I'm not too familiar with English versus China, even though I play a lot of English. I don't often find that many Chinese on the ladder, which is weird. And whenever I do, they do like the Shugin all in, and that just doesn't work versus English because longbows just beat them straight up. So I'm expecting Numudan to do something a little bit different. Probably, maybe Fast Castle will work. I'm not quite sure. Like I say, I'm not that big of a connoisseur in the English versus Chinese meta.
Yeah,
Also,
I
I
mean,
fall asleep every time I play against the Chinese too. So.
I mean, to be honest, when it comes to the Chinese, just because my social credit is down in the negatives at this point, I usually refrain from talking about them. But Divine, going to be going up with the council hall right next to his town center. Looks like Numudan on the other side with only one villager. Going to be going with the Barbican of the Sun. Rather outlandish of a position place all the way out here on the western side. I think he's smelling some Barbican action.
Now this Barbican is absolutely amazing. I'll tell you why.
Tell me.
Okay, so you have your TC. Your TC is covering your front entrance, and you have two wood lines, so that's a very small choke. Then you have the side choke that you can just wall with like 80 wood or less. So you're completely safe from that side against longbows. Then on the left side, there's a very tiny choke behind the hill, so you can just, there's a little bit of wood, and again, you're safe against longbows. And then you have this Barbican that's getting the board and the berries safe, and then you have your two golds secure and 3 stone. Like, you can do anything after this Barbican goes up, and you're so safe. I don't think you can pressure this in a meaningful way as English.
You know what, Neri, I have to say, just because of the way you described that, you are a topographical genius. I will tell you that Barbican is, you've convinced me, it is perfectly placed. The Imperial Academy also going to be going down at just about the same time, and I'm watching what Numudan's doing in terms of his builds and things that he likes to do, and I want to hover over how many villagers are on each resource for him to be able to do that, just so we have an idea. But that Song Dynasty going to be rather quick, coming in at just about the 5-minute mark, which is where Divine, he only got 1 landmark at the time China got 2.
Yep. Absolutely, we see finally the Song Dynasty pretty much at the same time as the age up. So Numudan is pretty happy, and we see Divine going to the stone. So this is going to be a 2TC English. Let's see how Numudan reacts to this. He is going for the boar. He shot the boar twice with the Barbie gun. The boar is like, nah, I'm
That
good.
boar doesn't give a damn.
Yeah, it's like, nah, I'm good.
It's actually going to chase that scout over here to the north of Divine, making that Borbican not as Borby. But now
Oh,
with
this
that
is
boar coming back, and it actually regenerates in terms of health. They are going to pull it a little bit to the south. Not the cleanest pulled pork I've ever seen, but definitely still eatable.
yeah, absolutely. This is fine. This is the fine dog meme. It works. I mean, it's gonna have a very very value meal like in between the berries and the boar, so I guess that's good.
Yeah, and having that IO to supervise is just that much better. Oh my god. Having the IO and having the ability to just, I mean, they're not Imperial officials, they're Imperial magicians. Because they're able to just pull resources out of thin air. Maybe because of their organization techniques, I'm not really quite sure. But now Numudan is going for a second town center of his own. We got about 7 villagers over here, and an 8th will be soon to follow. So we will see a 2TC song with against the English in terms of booming.
He's going 3DC.
I
Divine
mean,
has no chill. It's like, okay, we're booming, we're booming.
you have to, right? I mean, if you see
Uh,
China goes into Song Dynasty, you know English isn't going to do much pressure. Look at it in terms of military units. Numudan Scout got hit by Divine's Town Center, which I did not show just because the boar was getting pulled. But there's only one military unit on the battlefield right now. You can go
I mean,
2TC, you can go 6. Who gives a shit? You know, I mean, like, it's not like you're gonna get punished anyway. Newdon knows this. Gonna go ahead and supervise that mining camp at just the opportune time, and he's gonna get that town center up so quick.
yeah, he's gonna get that town center out really really fast. He doesn't really need to know what Divine is doing. He just knows that Divine is on 2TC. And that's enough for him to just like, okay, I can just chill and boom because I'm not getting attacked anytime soon. And China booming is considerably better than English booming.
Right.
He eventually will need a scout to see like what Numudan is doing, but not for the next like 2 minutes. He's going to be completely fine.
Actually,
And there we see the scout dies out.
yeah, as soon as you just said that, Scott popped up, so we will be able to see what Divine is doing. Third TC going to be around that gold, so all of his resources pretty much contained very well with this TC fire, and we all know that home TC equipped with its own MG42 machine gun and will be able to shoot arrows at lightning pace. Now, if you're China, or any Civ for that matter, you're seeing English go 3TC. What's your plan going forward? I mean, you can't necessarily go in here. This is an English base. Is it more so a containment strategy?
I mean, if I was Numen, I would just stop on the 2TC. Like, you're China, you have Song Dynasty, you don't need the extra TC. But Numen is like, nope, I'm making another TC too. I think this is a bit overkill. Like, you're going to be struggling for food so much. Because Song Dynasty, I don't quite remember what it is, but it's a lot. It's one villager every 15 seconds. So you're producing. Normally you produce 3 villagers per minute. With 3TC, you're producing 12.
Yeah.
12. While Divine is producing 9. Like, you're going to run through food so fast. It's not like your Avacid, in which you get a discount on your villagers, and then it's fine. But this is just too many. Too many. He's just going to run through all his food so quickly. He's gonna have to transition farms super early.
Oh, come
Even
on,
though this-
Numudan. Come on with this
Oh.
scout. This is the second scout going down. Sorry, Neri, I hate to cut you off, but that was the second scout that went down for Numudan, and now he's queuing up another one. Jeez. Come on, you gotta have better handle on your scouts. But anyway, with the English now, they have their farm economy under wraps here. He's got 22 on food. He's got about 10 on gold over here on the northwestern part of his base, but Numudan is going to be a little bit quicker. Oh my god, he added a third town center. God help me.
Yep. What? Wait, what?
You heard me. There's a third town center over here for Numudan, pumping out the sweet, sweet song of
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Numudan villagers. Do you like my pun about Song Dynasty? That was a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah. We were on 3D6. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just.
yeah.
I
Nobody
think it's
really
too much.
listens. Just yeah, yeah.
We see the astronomical clock tower going down by Numuran. I almost said something that I've been calling that landmark recently, but
If it's TOS, you
it's,
keep your mouth shut.
but it's not stream appropriate.
Okay.
Let's we see the astronomical clock tower going down, so he's going to be the first one to castle. And after that, he can start pressuring Divine. Divine is going to be starting his castle pretty soon, but he's no Chinese, so his building speed is slower.
Yeah, it is going to take a little bit of extra time for him to do that. I'm actually curious what landmark he chooses, just because that 3 town centers does go up with the White Tower at probably the only part of the English base that is somewhat rateable. If he was able to push in, maybe get some of these mills and those areas. Probably not going to be able to do that now, but for Numudan now going 3 TC Song, obviously spending a lot of food trying to get these villagers up. Only about 1 barracks that I see here, and I don't see next to his Barbican or next to his starting town center, or his third town center, excuse me. I don't see pretty much anything else. It looks like Numudan, I don't know what he was really attempting to do. Maybe like some palace guards in there trying to get a raid. I mean, on that English base, what the hell are you even trying to raid over here? There's nothing to raid.
I mean, he attempted to do the palace guard flood on the early castle, but he got himself supply bomb.
That's an issue. Yeah, for sure. He's 70 out of 70. He'll be building that village and getting that up there just in due time. And looks like he will be the first one to a monastery. Now, at this point of the game, we just eclipsed our 12th minute. We're gonna see these players actually come out of the map every once in a while. Imagine that. Divine actually going with crossbowmen. He kind of expects some palace guards to come out. Gonna go with some crossbowmen and gonna pump them out of the White Tower and the Council Hall at that increased production speed. But the first one to a monastery is Numudan, and he will be first dibs on some of those relics. It's gonna help him out later.
Oh yeah, he should be able to secure 4 relics pretty easily. He has 3 behind walls, well, kind of, and 1 just outside his wall. That is the first one he's going to grab. So yeah, 4 relics going for Numudan easily, and he is perfectly capable of grabbing the 5th one if he commits a little bit of military to it.
Yeah, because I mean, look at the way he walled Neri. I mean, all of these walls, especially on the north side, right above that relic. On the south side, he's going to put it right next to that relic. He did get pretty fortunate on the relic spawn, so we'll see how that translates later. But Divine starting to come out. He's got about 12 crossbowmen now, which would help. But on the flip side for Numudan, he does have that Chinese unit that everybody does not like to face up against, and that is the Beehive, ladies and gentlemen. Clock Tower Nest of Bee is going to rain down its firework hell on some of those crossbowmen. So Divine gonna need something other than just that, making a switch into about 2 or 3 barracks building at about the same time, and we'll be pumping out those English men-at-arms that also, like the Nest of Bees, people hate them.
Yep, there's only 1 unit I hate more than Nest of Bees, and it's also a Chinese unit.
I thought you were gonna say Warrior Scouts.
No. Actually, I don't hate Warrior Scouts. No. Warrior Scout is probably my second most hate unit. My most hate unit is by far the Shuriken unit. I hate that thing. If you thought I could rant about the Warrior Scouts, oh boy, I could rant about the Shuriken.
I bet you could. Numudan lost to 3rd Scout. That's a hat trick, buddy. 3 strikes and you're out. But that's all the sports references I have for this cast. But now both of these armies, Divine starting to move a little bit south. Gonna find a palisade wall that only has blueprints. That spearman going down as quickly as it popped up on camera. Another palace guard with it as well, trying to stop this relic from getting picked up, and that last crossbowman bolt will hit that monk. So relic not going to be able to be picked up, but Numudan, that Nest of Bees, starting to move its way from east to west. If it does get a good shot, Divine doesn't have anything for it just yet.
Divine is bolting for that relic. Shouldn't be able to get it if Numudan is paying attention, because his army is like right there. And yeah, he decides against it and just go for the safe relic, and he's going to concede that one to Numudan for the time being because he knows that's way too deep into enemy territory. And he doesn't quite have the army yet to fight over it.
No, I don't think so. I mean, and plus in terms of composition, I don't think he really has. But Numudan trying to get this wall going on the south side as much as possible. But some Spearmen are over here going to be able to make sure that that wall doesn't come down. I mean, for Divine, his first initial build and what he wants to do is basically done. Is these 3 Spearmen, we're going to see them get absolutely savagely beat down by the Spearmen of the Chinese. The build for Divine essentially pretty much done. I mean, he even has outposts around where some of these walls are. He's just making sure his home base stays the way it's supposed to be. And I feel like in this game, as we see it get deeper and deeper, maybe into our 25th, maybe like 30th minute, if the game goes on that far, we're going to see the true power that post-Imperial English really has because of his ability to be as defensible as he is, which is, we all know, we've all played English on the ladder. That really is their strong suit.
Yep, absolutely. So at the very late of Castle and the start of Imperial, China has a really, really strong head start over the English, but the deeper we go, the better it gets for the English just because of their farms. Just so good. But for now, we're still quite ways away from that. We see a really good keep from Numudan, by the way, on the right side over that big goal. So he's going to try to take as much gold from his opponent that he can before going into his big goal, that it's the southern one. So very well played. And after that, he's going to have the majority of the resources behind his walls, which is absolutely what you want to do with China. Just get as many resources as you can because you're so population efficient with all your units.
Yeah, and we know from China how population efficient they can actually be, and a lot of it, as of right now anyway, coming from Siege. Numudan now stockpiling his resources quite effectively. His granary farm economy starting to take shape. These Chinese are going to have the rice diet for a foreseeable future, I should say. And Numudan is going to be the first one to actually go up to Imperial Age with the Spirit Way.
Yeah, because he knows he's absolutely safe. He has this keep that's going up on the front, right in front of his enemy, and he has the Barbican right next to it. And all his food is on the opposite side of the map. He's completely safe, so he doesn't fear death at any time soon. So he's just like, okay, I'm just gonna age up. You can even see he's aging up like in a very chill way with just 4 villagers. Now he's pulling a little bit more, but yeah, like he was aging up with 4. That's like pretty chill. Like you don't care. Yeah, I can hit Imperial.
Yeah,
So
it's
now
kind
it's
of
the
nice when you're Imperial, you don't have to like rush to it because you're in such a bad, defensive situation. But now maybe with Imperial, and he has a lot of blacksmith upgrades, we just saw a couple of them come in, maybe he can push the issue to the English player because Divine, he's starting to add a little bit of an initiative with his first counterweight trebuchet trying to take down one of these keeps near the gold mine here. It might provoke Numudan to do something about it.
Divine also has the resources for aging up. There we see finally the Wingard Palace going down. I'm not sure you want the Wingard Palace in this situation.
I mean, it is pretty up there.
I mean,
We'll
it's
give it that.
yeah, it's really good, but it's kind of a slow landmark to pay off because you need so much time to produce one round of whatever, unless you're producing knights at a really expensive rate. But the point is, that's going to take a while before it pays off, and you kind of want to defend yourself because China is about to push in the very near future. His granary is almost completely set up, just the final few just about to come through, and after that China is just going to put the pedal to the metal and just go. Like after the skip falls, like either Divine needs to go for the kill or just fall back and chill and defend as much as he can because China is about to get really scary. Numudan is even building the Imperial Palace to go for the Yuan dynasty, which Fire Lancers are pretty good. And look at that. A couple of Fire Lancers can really wreak havoc on Divine's base because again, English really likes to be very very condensed. All their farms in a very predictable position. Oh, Nest of Bees preparing to fire, but not quite.
Yeah, he does have a couple Springalds that are going to help him out in that department. Some Clock Tower Springalds. Got to remember, for Chinese, takes 3 Springald bolts to get rid of one of these Springalds, whereas it's only 2 for a normal Springald. That siege advantage is huge, and I think siege advantage China will keep for the foreseeable future, as another keep from China ends up going down. And you were talking about Divine either pushing the initiative because China's going to get scary, you know, that kind of stuff. English, Divine is trying to push the initiative, and he's doing that in the order of trebuchets. And I know from this Wingguard Palace, getting that Wingguard army at 100 food, 100 wood, and 200 gold, it's almost like you don't need wood for siege because of how much you're doing now. Nest of Bees gonna try to rain on some of these English troops. That's a lot of dead crossbowmen. I'm counting maybe about 7 in there, and I think with this siege advantage from China, maybe they can break out of their shell just a little bit. They can push their own issue. More Nest of Bees shots. A lot of men-at-arms, probably at about 2/3 health, maybe about 1/4. Elite Palace Guards going to be coming in, making the front line for the Nest of Bees. That's so much AoE damage that these beehives can do. The Springalds are going to be able to take the Springalds back all the way. Look at that Springald smooch, turning that Divine Springald into firewood. And now Numudan, military lead 39-26. He can push this issue if he chooses to, even being under network of citadels.
Yeah, absolutely. Now Divine made a mistake on going back in. He should have just hightailed out of there because again, this is China's strongest point, and you do not want to fight them here. You want to just fall back and try to survive, because throw down a couple of keeps if you need to. And he definitely needs to get more villagers onto stone. He has 20, he needs even more. But he really needs to throw down like 2 or 3 keeps in order to survive in the very, very near future, because look at that, like 4 Nests of Bees of the Clock Tower variety and a Bombard, plus a couple of Sprinkles. Like he has complete siege superiority at this point. And he has Palace Guards, which are incredibly cheap to produce, and they're so tanky and so fast and do so much damage that Divine is about to be in a world of pain right now. He's desperately adding a lot of more production.
Oh, so many crossbowmen go down. We're going to have another battle come underway. I really like what Numudan's doing, adding some Fire Lancers in here just to try to get a little bit of that increased health from the Spirit Way. Villagers getting a little pissed off that their home territory is getting fought upon, taking the damage in that battle into their own hands with their torches. A couple Nest of Bees go down in the process. Numudan's front line actually somewhat evaporated. The men-at-arms, because of how much armor they actually have at 180, you really need those Nest of Bees to provide any damage at all. Having that kind of, I mean, the Fire Lancers, the Palace Guards, the Spearmen, all 3 of them, they're not going to do much to this unit.
Absolutely. It was a bit fortunate that Divine was just sending villagers to the gold, and he managed to get a couple of Nest of Bees because of that. But now, nobody knows, okay, why are you exposing your villagers so much to the gold? You must be running low. So he is going to double down into this position. Absolutely.
Yep, what's really good what Numudan did on the back end, adding hand cannoneers in the back, that's really the only thing that's going to cut through all of that ironclad armor from the men-at-arms and those Nest of Bees, putting in as many stings as he can on those men-at-arms just so they're easy pickings for the hand cannoneers. We're going to have a lot going down. Numudan does have chemistry, which is going to help him out as well. Military count actually in favor of Divine right now. A lot of that being siege in the form of trebuchets all the way in the back, and there's not a lot of units up here that are really helping the front line. Fire Lancers trying to do the best they can, trying to get those trebuchets. One trebuchet does go down, but at least he's able to retreat them in the opposite direction, which is going to be beneficial to him. The hand cannoneers are really what's saving the siege right now, just making sure they're around this area. And now we're going to see some villagers come up, Chinese villagers in their fancy hats, going to be able to make a keep. And this is what we talked about in the first game that we saw with Isange. Once you've got that map control, that little bit of area, you put a keep down and make sure you lose it. Even though English has trebuchets, that doesn't mean you still can't push the issue. Numudan doing a very good job of that right now.
absolutely. There's a random outpost on the top side. I don't know when that came down, but that denied 8 farms somehow. It's pretty funny. At some point that happened. Anyways, we see on the front line the siege is finally, the keep is finally coming up with half health because there were so many skirmishes firing off it. And now we see all the next these and all the siege. This is just China's best time. Like, look at all those hand cannoneers, all those fire lancers. They have all the economy and gold that they want to produce anything that they want. And we see a cat that's now in that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as how many Nest of Bees that he has, there's not many units that the English can make right now out of the military production buildings that Divine has. Nest of Bees staying all of these villagers. I counted maybe about 20 to 25 villagers that ended up going down as because of this. These men-at-arms just becoming target practice for the hand cannoneers. Trebuchets looks like there's only about one-ish left. The second one going to be able to come up. But even though this is a slow process, this is what China is really good at doing. They're able to matriculate up the map in a slow fashion, and they're kind of able to beat English at their own game, especially with their siege that has not been touched by Divine that much. The only siege that he has is trebuchets, not so much in the anti-siege department. Numudan doing a good job making sure that siege does stay very healthy and alive. The villager is going to be able to repair those at increased speed, just like they're able to build at increased speed, so these Nest of Bees stay alive throughout the entire process. And just about 5 or 6 minutes ago, Neri, we had the majority of this screen and the battle right in Numudan's hometown. It was right in the middle of that first China province, but now we're kind of getting into English territory.
Yep, absolutely. This is the slow siege push of death of Chinese. Even if you manage to corner them into their base, they can hold almost indefinitely, and they just slowly push back with their siege. We see the trebuchets trying to snipe down the bombards, but they have so much health. They have siege wars, and they're from the astronomical clock tower, so they have an insane amount of health each one of them. So you need multiple volleys of trebuchets to even kill one.
Yep. Yep, exactly. Now the hand cannoneer mass from Numudan, 18 right now, 23 in the queue. We can see how much the resource stockpiles are. Numudan has so many, but he did lose a keep essentially for free. The trebuchets were able to snipe them down. The palace guards just trying to be that little bit of a front line. Not sure if he has enough of that front line because crossbowmen are going to be able to take a lot of them down. The hand cannoneers being able to take down as well. Divine, with getting hit with all of those Nest of Bees, actually did make an army composition change and adding longbowmen with kind of like a half and half split between longbowmen and crossbowmen because you got to take out those hand cannoneers from a distance. The thing of it is, how much health they have doesn't take a lot of bee stings in order to go down, and we saw that longbowman mass essentially disintegrate.
Yep, we see Numudan is doing a great job of keeping siege alive. He's constantly repairing them back to full health, and because of that, Divine cannot snipe them with his trebuchets. Because again, that's the backbone of the thing. Because if you get rid of the siege, you can slowly start to regain map control. But this is just so scary. Like 3 bombards, 4 Nest of Bees, and a bunch of hand cannons. It's not something you can engage or try to kill because it's just too much damage and from too far away.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with all of these Nest of Bees hits, I want to get excited about how many things end up going down because of these Nest of Bees, but because of this game, it's just essentially been commonplace at this point. There have been so many good Nest of Bees shots. Here's some more good ones. All the way here on the north side, a couple longbowmen coming down. Trebuchets have to continue to back up over and over again. They did get the Werewolf technology, so they do provide a little bit of splash damage, but to be honest, for the cost of that technology, it's just not enough for what it is. And now the Wingguard Palace was just about ready to go down by those clock tower bombards, and Divine decides to call it. Numudan takes the win over an Imperial English. What a game.
It was a really fun game. The start a little bit slow because, both players decided to go triple TC, but it turned out to be a pretty fun game after the second half, so it's pretty entertaining. Can't complain too much. It's very good, well played by Divine and Numudan. Numudan excellent, like display of how do you win a late game Chinese. Just Very, very well played. And
Yeah.
with that, he moves on to the winners finals.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see how the Chinese siege superiority makes that much of an impact in Imperial. You can argue Divine maybe should have made something a little bit more than just trebuchets. You know, I mean, it's difficult when you have normal Springholds, you're up against Clock Tower Springholds. It is difficult to actually take that fight, but you really don't have a fighting chance if you don't have any anti-siege. If you're not able to take down those nest of bees, you're going to be perpetually going backward until you're at the next map.